Beloved chosen one, the day you surrendered to God's plan did not look small in the spirit, even if it looked quiet on the earth. What seemed like a private moment to other people was not private in heaven. What felt to you like trembling, exhaustion, and one final breath of yielding was in the unseen, a turning of ages inside your own life. You thought you were simply laying something down. Heaven knew you were stepping across a line that would never let you remain the same again. There was a moment when your strength could no longer pretend. The masks had become too heavy. The striving had become too painful. The plans you built with your own hands, the timelines you defended, the doors you tried to force open, all of it began to shake in front of you. Not because God had abandoned you, but because He loved you too much to let a false foundation carry your future. Some losses were not punishment. Some delays were not denial. Some endings were not destruction. They were mercy in disguise. They were the hand of God pulling you away from a road that looked impressive to people but would have drained your soul. You know what it is to fight through confusion and smile while carrying silent wars. You know what it is to wonder why life became harder when your heart was only trying to survive. You know what it is to sit in the middle of unanswered questions and feel as though heaven had gone still. But this is where the truth rises with power. Heaven was not silent because heaven was absent. Heaven was silent because heaven was arranging. There are seasons when God does His deepest work without applause, without explanation, and without witnesses. He lets the noise around you fade so you can finally hear what your spirit has been trying to tell you all along. You were never created merely to chase what shines. You were called to carry what is eternal. That is why your surrender was not weakness. It was discernment. It was the holy recognition that your life could no longer be led by fear, ego, panic, or performance. It was the sacred moment when you stopped asking how to stay comfortable and started asking how to stay aligned. And that question changed everything. The moment you moved from control to trust, from resistance to obedience, from self-protection to open-handed faith, the atmosphere around you shifted. Things began to move that your eyes could not yet measure. Old assignments started losing their hold. Heavy burdens started loosening their grip. Hidden doors began preparing to open at the right time. Do not underestimate what happened when you said yes to God, even if you said it through tears. Do not diminish that moment just because it was not dramatic to the world. The kingdom of darkness understands the power of surrender better than many people do. Hell knows that a yielded soul is dangerous. Hell knows that one person who truly releases control to God becomes harder to manipulate, harder to intimidate, and harder to seduce back into confusion. Your surrender announced that your life was no longer available for counterfeit purposes. It declared that your future would not belong to chaos. It revealed that your pain would not be wasted. It testified that God could trust you with process, not just promise. This is why so much had to break before you bowed. God was not crushing you. He was clearing room. He was exposing the noise that had been competing with His voice. He was letting you see that what you begged to keep could never heal you. And when the truth finally stood in front of you with nowhere to hide, you did what heaven had been waiting for. You surrendered. Not because you had every answer, but because you had reached the end of pretending that life works better without the one who formed you. That surrender was not the collapse of your story. It was the beginning of its purification. There is someone hearing these words right now who needs to remember that the breaking point was also the meeting point. The place where you thought you were falling apart was the exact place where God was gathering the scattered pieces of you into something holy. The tears mattered. The confession mattered. The late-night prayer mattered. The whispered yes mattered. The decision to stop running mattered. If that is your witness, comment 777 as a sign that your yes still belongs to God. And now you must understand what heaven saw that day. Heaven saw trust being born where fear had ruled. Heaven saw humility rise where pride had been exhausted. Heaven saw a son, a daughter, finally choose the narrow path over the easy one. Heaven saw a vessel become willing. Heaven saw history change inside one surrendered heart. You may have felt alone in that room, in that car, on that floor, or in that midnight hour. But you were not alone. The presence of God was nearer than your breath, and all of heaven marked the moment when your will stopped wrestling and your spirit said, "Not mine, but yours." That is why peace did not arrive as a weak feeling. It came as authority, it came as order. It came as a settling in your soul that told you the war inside had reached a decision. The circumstances outside may not have changed overnight, but the throne inside your life did. And once God is enthroned where panic used to sit, everything begins to answer to a greater command. Your steps change, your appetite changes, your tolerance for compromise changes, your vision changes, even your silence changes, because now it is no longer empty. It is full of trust. So stand still in this truth. The day you surrendered was the day heaven celebrated, because your yes gave God permission to lead you where your own understanding never could. It was the day your life stopped revolving around survival and started moving toward assignment. It was the day wandering began to lose its claim on you. And though you have only begun to see the meaning of that moment, heaven understood it fully. Heaven knew that your surrender was not an ending to mourn, it was a beginning to honor. What truly happened in the unseen when you said yes to God's will is deeper than emotion, deeper than relief, and deeper than the passing feeling of finally putting down a burden. Your surrender reached into realms you could not see. It was heard where words do not die. It was recorded where obedience is never overlooked. The earth may have seen a tired person finally let go, but heaven saw a vessel come into agreement with divine order. That is why peace began to move toward you, even before circumstances changed. Peace was not coming because every battle had ended. Peace was coming because your spirit had stopped resisting the hand of God. This is the mystery many people never understand. They think surrender is losing. They think saying yes to God means becoming smaller, weaker, less alive. But when you truly surrender, you do not become less. You become aligned. You stop leaking strength through fear. You stop draining your soul by trying to control what was never yours to control. You stop bowing to outcomes, opinions, timelines, and the pressure to prove yourself. In that moment, heaven does not pity you. Heaven rejoices over you, because agreement with God is where real authority begins. This is why the story of Joseph fits so powerfully here. Joseph did not walk a straight line into destiny. He carried a glimpse of God's purpose, but the road was lined with betrayal, confusion, loss, and long stretches where nothing made natural sense. He was thrown into a pit by the very people who should have protected him. He was sold, displaced, misunderstood, and later imprisoned in a land that was not his own. Yet underneath all that pain, there was a deeper movement. God was shaping a man who would one day carry weight without collapsing under it. Joseph could not force the process, and he could not skip the breaking. He had to learn surrender inside the silence, surrender inside injustice, surrender inside delay. That is where your heart meets his story. There are moments when obedience does not immediately look rewarded. There are seasons when saying yes to God seems to place you in places that feel too narrow, too hidden, too painful. But Joseph's life reveals a holy truth. What looks like confinement to man can be preparation in the hands of God. What feels like abandonment can be divine positioning. What feels like a closed chapter can be the hallway to a throne you are not ready to carry yet. Joseph's power was not that he knew every step. His power was that, through layer after layer of stripping, he remained under the hand of God until the appointed hour revealed what heaven had already decided. So when you surrendered, something like that began to move in your life as well. You came into agreement with the process. Even if you did not understand it all, you told heaven that your need for control would no longer be greater than your trust. You told God that your future was safer in His will than in your own calculations. That kind of surrender sends a sound through the Spirit. It tells heaven that there is now room for molding, correction, redirection, and release. It tells the unseen realm that you are no longer available for the old patterns that kept you stuck between promise and fear. And notice this carefully. Joseph's rise did not begin when he stood before Pharaoh. It began much earlier, in hidden acts of faithfulness, in quiet refusals to become bitter, in moments when he could have broken inwardly but chose instead to remain yielded. In the same way, the day you surrendered was not small because nobody clapped for it. The hidden yes is often what creates the public fruit. The unseen agreement is often what unlocks the visible shift. That is why heaven celebrated, not because you reached the finish line in one day, but because you stepped onto the path where your life could finally be governed by God instead of by pain. You may still be in a season where the full meaning of your surrender has not appeared yet. That does not mean nothing happened. It means roots are growing before branches spread. It means heaven is establishing weight inside you before placing greater assignments upon you. It means your inner life is being reordered so that what comes next will not destroy you. Joseph had dreams early, but character had to deepen before elevation could safely arrive. In the same way, your yes was not just about rescue. It was about formation. It was about becoming the kind of person who can carry blessing without worshiping it, influence without being corrupted by it, and purpose without turning it into pride. So stay very close to this truth. Your surrender was not a dramatic pause before life returned to normal. It was the holy crossing where normal lost its claim on you. And if this message is strengthening your spirit, let it settle deeply and gently like, share, and subscribe so this word can keep reaching the ones who are standing at their own moment of surrender. And for those who feel led to support this mission more deeply, there is also a way to give through the description. Sometimes your simple act of support becomes part of carrying hope to someone you may never meet, but heaven sees. Joseph's story did not end in the pit. And yours will not end in the place where you felt forgotten. The God who honored his surrender is the same God who is honoring yours. The unseen has already shifted. Heaven has already responded. And your yes is still echoing where destiny is being prepared. Now you begin to understand why chains started breaking when you released control. Not every chain in your life was visible. Some were forged out of fear. Some were shaped by disappointment. Some were built from the exhausting need to predict every outcome so you would never be hurt again. And some were spiritual, old patterns of heaviness that kept circling your life because as long as you stayed clenched, wounded, and guarded, you could not fully walk in the freedom God had prepared for you. But the moment you opened your hands and surrendered, something deeper than emotion took place. You stopped feeding what had been holding you. That is one of the hidden powers of surrender. It starves bondage. Darkness thrives where there is constant panic, constant self-dependence, constant agreement with hopelessness. But when you say yes to God, even with a trembling voice, you remove your life from that old current. You break agreement with the lie that everything depends on your own strength. You break agreement with the fear that says if you do not hold it all together, everything will collapse. You break agreement with the wound that taught you control is safety. And once those agreements begin to shatter, chains begin to lose their language around you. This is where Joseph's story keeps speaking with such force. There was every reason for Joseph to become chained inwardly. Betrayal could have chained him. Being sold could have chained him. False accusation could have chained him. The prison could have chained him long before iron ever tried to. But what makes his story so powerful is that his spirit did not become owned by the places that tried to define him. He kept moving under God's hand. He kept interpreting, serving, enduring, and remaining available to the purpose of God even while his circumstances screamed the opposite. That is surrender at a deeper level. It is not passive weakness. It is holy resilience. It is the refusal to let pain become your master. And that is where your own life begins to mirror the lesson. Some of the strongest chains do not break when a door opens. They break when the soul no longer bows to what once ruled it. Joseph's freedom began before the palace. His inner life had already started separating itself from bitterness, revenge, and despair. So when the moment of elevation finally arrived, he was not merely taken out of confinement. He was already becoming the kind of man who could carry release without turning it into pride. In the same way, your surrender was not only about getting out of trouble, it was about God getting trouble out of the hidden chambers of your heart. There are things that had clung to you for years that cannot survive a fully yielded life. Double-mindedness begins to weaken. Old cravings begin to lose their shine. The need for human approval begins to look smaller. The obsession with timing begins to soften. The terror of missing out begins to fade when you realize God's plan does not require panic to succeed. This is why heaven celebrated your surrender. It was not merely because you chose the right path in one moment. It was because your yes opened the gate for inner deliverance to keep unfolding. You may still feel the aftershocks of that process even now. Sometimes when chains break, there is noise. There is disorientation. There is the strange feeling of learning how to stand without the old weight that had become so familiar. Freedom can feel unfamiliar at first. Peace can feel unfamiliar. Silence can feel unfamiliar when you spent years surviving chaos. But do not mistake unfamiliar for unsafe. What God is teaching you now is how to live unbound, how to breathe without fear driving every thought, how to move without begging the past for permission. Joseph had to learn that too. He had to learn that the God who preserved him in hidden places was the same God who could trust him in visible places. He had to learn that surrender was not only for the pit and the prison. Surrender was also for influence, responsibility, and fulfillment. There is a version of your life waiting on the other side of obedience that requires the same yielded heart that got you through the breaking. That is why you must not run back to control just because freedom feels new. Stay under the hand of God. Stay soft where pain once tried to harden you. Stay teachable where delay once tried to make you cynical. The chains are not merely falling off your life. They are losing their memory in you. And for some listening now, one of the battles that has worn you down is mental fog, scattered focus, emotional overload, and the constant strain of trying to think clearly while carrying too much. If that is part of your struggle, there is a product some people use called the Genius Wave, also known in some places as Genius Song. It is presented as a short audio experience built around brainwave entrainment, using sounds intended to support states linked with focus, calm, creativity, and mental clarity in just a few minutes a day. People are drawn to it because it aims to help with issues like poor concentration, stress, mental fatigue, creative blocks, and restless thinking without requiring complicated routines. If you want to look into it, use only the official source linked in the description or pinned comment. And be careful with imitations or fake versions. But even as you consider practical tools for your daily life, never forget the deeper truth. Your clearest breakthrough does not begin with a product. It begins with surrender. It begins when your spirit comes back into alignment with the one who made your mind, your future, and your purpose. God is not merely removing chains from your hands. He is teaching your whole being how to live free. And the same God who walked Joseph through betrayal, confinement, waiting, and release is walking you through this holy transformation now. So keep going, keep trusting, keep yielding, because what broke off you when you surrendered is not coming back with the same power. And what heaven started that day is still unfolding with glory. Heaven marked you for a higher calling the moment your surrender became real. Because surrender does not leave a person empty. It makes room for holy identity to rise. Before that moment, you may have known pieces of who you were. You may have sensed that your life carried meaning, that your pain was not random, that there was something weighty and unseen pressing against your ordinary days. But when you finally yielded to God, what had only been a faint stirring began to take shape. The confusion did not define you anymore. The delay did not define you anymore. The opinions of others did not define you anymore. A deeper name began speaking over your life, and it did not come from the earth. It came from the one who formed you on purpose. This is one of the sacred mysteries of surrender. You think you are losing the right to write your own story. But what you are really losing is the burden of pretending you ever held the pen better than God. The day you bowed, heaven did not record your defeat. Heaven recorded your alignment, and alignment always reveals identity. When a river flows in its proper course, it does not become weaker, it becomes powerful. When a star remains in its appointed place, it does not become limited, it becomes a sign. In the same way, when your life came back under the will of God, you did not become less yourself. You became more truly who you were created to be. That is why your spirit has felt the difference even when your circumstances still needed time to catch up. Something in you knows that the old life no longer fits. Some doors may still look familiar, but your heart can no longer live inside them the same way. Some conversations may still surround you, but they no longer feed you the way they once did. Some temptations may still knock, but they do not sound like home anymore. This is what happens when heaven marks a life. There is a shift in appetite, a shift in discernment, a shift in the very way the soul responds to what once held influence. You begin to notice that what used to impress you now feels shallow, and what once looked hidden now feels holy. The mark of heaven is not always loud to the world, but it is unmistakable in the spirit. It does not always appear as instant recognition from other people. Sometimes it appears first as separation, as a strange season where you no longer fit the rooms that once felt normal. Sometimes it appears as deeper conviction, where you can no longer negotiate with compromises that once seemed small. Sometimes it appears as a burden for greater things, a steady knowing that you were not preserved merely to survive, but to serve, to carry, to build, to pray, to stand, to heal, to speak life where death had tried to settle. Heaven's mark often feels like holy unrest before it feels like visible reward. This is why you cannot measure your calling by the comfort of the present hour. Calling is not proven by ease. Calling is proven by the hand of God remaining upon you through fire, through waiting, through pruning, through hiddenness, and through the long work of becoming. The marked ones are often misunderstood before they are recognized. They are often stretched before they are entrusted. They are often stripped of false support before they are clothed with true authority. That process can feel lonely if you judge it only with natural eyes, but in the spirit it is full of meaning. God does not rush what carries eternal weight, and there is a reason the enemy reacted so strongly when you began to surrender. Darkness is not stirred by empty religion. Darkness is stirred by a life that is actually becoming available to God. The moment your yes became real, your existence became more dangerous to everything that thrives on confusion, compromise, and spiritual sleep. Not because you suddenly became perfect, but because direction changed, ownership changed. The course of your life began turning toward purpose. That is why resistance often increases around a person whose heart is waking up. The battle is not random. It is a sign that your surrender touched something real. But do not let that reality intimidate you. Let it steady you. The mark on your life is not a target without protection. It is also a seal of belonging. God does not call without covering. He does not appoint without sustaining. He does not lead you into deeper purpose and then leave you there unsupported. The same hand that drew your yes from a weary heart is the hand that will keep shaping you for what comes next. As it is written, "For we are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand, that we should walk in them." Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. Read that truth slowly in your spirit. You are not an accident trying to become useful. You are workmanship. You are not a leftover life trying to gain meaning. You are created with intention. And the good works ahead of you are not desperate attempts to earn worth. They are prepared paths, already seen by God, waiting for your willing feet. That is why surrender mattered so much. It brought your steps back into agreement with roads heaven already knew. So even now, if the process feels weighty, remember what is taking place. God is not merely changing your habits. He is deepening your identity. He is training your spirit to bear what lesser versions of you could not carry. He is teaching you how to live as someone marked by heaven in a world that often cannot understand holy things. And in time, what He has written over your life will become visible not as performance, but as fruit, not as self-invention, but as evidence, not as noise, but as presence. The mark is already there. The calling is already breathing. And the surrender that opened this path is still leading you deeper into the life heaven always saw over you. Warfare intensified after your yes because darkness understood that your surrender was not a passing emotion. It was a realignment of authority. Before that moment, the enemy could work more easily through your confusion, your hesitation, your divided focus, and the exhausting cycle of fear that kept pulling your attention away from God's voice. But when you surrendered, something became clear in the spirit. Your life was no longer drifting in the same way. Your heart had turned when your direction had changed, and that shift carried consequences. Many people think the increase in warfare means they made the wrong decision. They assume that if they truly obeyed God, the road would instantly become soft, quiet, and free of opposition. But often the opposite reveals the truth. Resistance grows because your surrender has become a threat to the patterns that once kept you contained. The enemy does not waste strength fighting what is already asleep. He reacts when a soul begins to wake. He reacts when someone who once lived in survival starts moving in discernment. He reacts when agreement with fear is broken and agreement with God begins to take root. That is why some battles seem to sharpen after you said yes. Old temptations returned with new intensity. Strange discouragement pressed against your thoughts. Delays felt heavier. Misunderstandings multiplied. Fatigue tried to wrap itself around your mind. At times, it may even have felt as though the moment you chose God more fully, the pressure around your life became more aggressive. But this is not proof that your surrender failed. It is often proof that your surrender mattered. The enemy fights hardest at the point where he senses loss. Still, you must understand the nature of this warfare. It is not only about dramatic moments. Sometimes it moves through subtle erosion. It tries to wear down your confidence little by little. It whispers that nothing changed. It tells you that your prayers are too small, that your process is too slow, that your obedience is unnoticed. It tempts you to return to old comforts simply because they are familiar. It tries to convince you that control is safer than trust, that compromise is easier than holiness, that numbness is better than hope. This is how spiritual warfare often works. Not always through obvious darkness, but through steady pressure designed to make you surrender your surrender. But you do not have to bow to that pressure. What you need now is not panic, it is steadiness. The war after your yes is won by remaining where your surrender placed you. Stay low before God. Stay honest in prayer. Stay rooted in truth when feelings rise and fall. Stay aware that not every thought deserves agreement. Not every fear deserves attention. Not every delay deserves a hopeless conclusion. When the enemy cannot stop your calling, he often tries to exhaust your focus. That he wants you distracted, offended, self-doubting, and spiritually scattered. But the answer is not to become louder than the warfare. The answer is to become deeper than it. This is where the strength of God begins to teach you something holy. You are not fighting for identity. You are fighting from identity. You are not trying to persuade heaven to care about you. Heaven has already marked you as belonging to God. You are not begging for scraps of protection. You are standing inside covenant. That changes how you walk through battle. Fear says you are exposed. Truth says you are covered. Fear says the pressure will undo you. Truth says the pressure is revealing what has already been planted in you. Fear says go back. Truth says stand. Scripture anchors this truth with clarity. The Lord will fight for you and you shall hold your peace. Exodus chapter 14, verse 14. Let that settle into your spirit. You are not alone in this battle. You are not the source of your own victory. Your role is not to outmatch darkness with your own strength. Your role is to remain aligned, to remain surrendered, to remain steady while God moves on your behalf in ways you cannot always see. So do not misread the battle around you. The tension is not the end of your story. It is part of the revealing. God is showing you what still tries to pull at you so that it can lose its authority. He is exposing weak places, not to shame you, but to strengthen you. He is training your spirit to remain clear under pressure, faithful in delay, and humble in victory. This season is not merely about surviving attacks. It is about becoming the kind of person who no longer panics every time resistance appears. It is about learning that warfare does not cancel calling. In many cases, it confirms it. And even now, there is strength rising in you that you did not have before. Your discernment is sharper. Your prayers are deeper. Your dependence on God is more real. The very battles that meant to push you backward are teaching you how to stand with greater authority. They are teaching you where your help comes from. They are teaching you that peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of God in the middle of it. They are teaching you that surrender was never the fragile choice. It was the fiercest one. So when the pressure comes, do not interpret it as abandonment. Interpret it as the moment to remember who holds you. When the whisper of discouragement tries to settle on your heart, answer it with truth. When weariness tells you nothing is moving, remember that heaven often works deepest where eyes can see least. And if this word speaks to your spirit, comment, "I trust God." That simple declaration carries more weight than you realize, because the warfare after your yes is real, but it is not greater than the God who drew that yes out of you. He is still guarding what you placed in his hands. He is still strengthening what hell hoped would collapse. And he is still turning your obedience into a testimony that darkness cannot stop. The celebration still echoing over you is not only about the day you first surrendered. It is about the fact that your obedience continues to speak. Heaven did not rejoice for a moment and then move on as if your yes were a passing event. Your surrender opened a living path. Every time you choose trust again, every time you refuse to return to fear, every time you place your future back into God's hands when anxiety tries to take it, that original yes gains fresh strength. What began as one holy turning has become a continuing testimony, and heaven still responds to it. This is why your obedience carries more power than you realize. You may look at your life and still see unfinished places, unanswered prayers, and long stretches where the full picture has not appeared. But heaven sees movement where you see delay. Heaven sees maturity where you see weakness. Heaven sees healing where you only see tenderness. Heaven sees the rebuilding of your inner life, the strengthening of your discernment, the refining of your motives, and the deepening of your trust. And all of it matters. None of it is wasted. God is not only interested in where you are going, He is also glorified by who you are becoming on the way. There are blessings already moving toward you because you surrendered. There are doors that did not destroy you because God kept them closed. There are traps that did not take you because His mercy stood between you and what your natural eyes never even saw. There are people you will strengthen because your breaking taught you compassion. There are prayers you will one day pray over others with authority because you first learned how to cry out from your own midnight place. There are rooms you will enter carrying peace because you first let God establish peace inside you. This is how surrender keeps bearing fruit. It begins privately, but it does not stay private forever. And some of the fruit is not only for you. That is part of the beauty of your yes. When one life truly comes into alignment with God, the impact stretches outward. Your obedience can become shelter for someone else. Your wisdom can become direction for someone else. Your healing can become hope for someone else. Your testimony can become the very sign another weary soul needed in order to believe that God still intervenes, still restores, still calls people out of confusion and into purpose. The heaven that celebrated you also sees who will be reached because you kept walking. So do not call your surrendered life small. Do not think your daily faithfulness goes unnoticed just because it is quiet. Heaven honors consistency. Heaven honors the repeated decision to trust God when there is no applause. Heaven honors the private victory over thoughts that once ruled you. Heaven honors your refusal to become hard after pain. Heaven honors your willingness to stay teachable, soft, prayerful, and available. These things may not impress a loud world, but they are precious before God. And in this final stretch of the message, let your heart settle into prayer, not as a forced interruption, but as the most natural response to everything heaven has been whispering to you. Father, thank you for the day this beloved soul surrendered to your plan. Thank you that you did not turn away from them in their confusion, in their weariness, or in their breaking, but you drew near with mercy. Thank you for every chain you have already broken, for every lie you have already exposed, and for every hidden work you are still completing inside them. Strengthen their heart where battle has been intense. Bring peace where fear has tried to speak. Bring clarity where heaviness has lingered. Heal the places that still ache. Restore the places that still feel delayed. Teach them to trust you more deeply than ever before. Let their life become a clear testimony that surrender to you is never loss, but the beginning of true life. Surround them with your favor, guard their mind, establish their steps, and let the celebration of heaven over their yes continue to unfold in visible goodness, holy courage, and deep, unshakable peace. In Jesus' name, amen. Now breathe that in. The God who called you is still keeping you. The God who received your surrender is still writing the story that follows it. And the God who caused heaven to rejoice over your yes has not stopped watching over the seed of obedience he planted in you. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not abandoned in the middle. You are being led. So keep going with reverence and with expectation. Keep choosing the path of trust even when it costs your comfort. Keep walking with the quiet confidence that God's plan is not fragile. It does not collapse because of one difficult season. It does not vanish because you are still healing. It does not fail because the process is longer than you imagined. The celebration over your surrender still echoes because heaven knows what your future is becoming, even before you can fully see it. And if this message has walked beside you, gently receive it and let it keep traveling. Like, share, and subscribe in a simple spirit of agreement so more hearts can be strengthened by the same word that found you today. And for those who feel led to help support this work in a deeper way, there is also a giving option in the description. Sometimes a quiet act of support helps carry light farther than you may ever know on this side of eternity. Hold this close now. The day you surrendered was not the day your story became smaller. It was the day your story came under divine hands. Heaven celebrated then, and heaven still rejoices now, because your obedience is still opening doors, still defeating darkness, still shaping destiny, and still proving that when a heart says yes to God, nothing remains ordinary again. And as this message comes to rest, let your soul remain still for a final moment. You do not have to force what God is already unfolding. You do not have to chase what heaven knows how to deliver in its appointed time. Your part is to remain yielded, remain awake, and remain faithful. Let the memory of your surrender become a place of strength, not just a memory of tears. Let it remind you that God met you there, marked you there, and began something eternal there, even now. Grace is still moving. Peace is still settling. Purpose is still rising. What heaven celebrated was not only a decision from your lips, it was the awakening of a life that would no longer belong to fear. So walk forward with quiet assurance. The hand of God is upon you. The voice of God is still guiding you. And the joy of heaven over your obedience has not faded. It is still speaking over your path, still covering your process, and still calling you onward into the fullness of what was always written for you.